Hello everyone, JohnJuker12 back here again with another video. Now today is April 4th and I'm going to be doing a movie review, my first movie review, and of course, based off the date that I'm going to be doing Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Yes, the movie came out today. I know if there's been special screenings of it like worldwide everywhere else, but it's been officially released here and I just came back from seeing it, and excuse me if I'm kind of psyched, but it was a pretty badass movie, I have to say. Um, Overall, I think the movie was really badass. I don't really think any other Phase Two movies for Age of Ultron might do as good as Winter Soldier, but I guess we'll have to see. But let me just give my overall thoughts on the overall movie. But first, I like to give props to the filmmakers for doing a great job. I really had doubts about Winter Soldier being better than First Avenger, but they really blew me away with the sequel, and I just really enjoyed it. But let me first give off. I'm not gonna do like a shot for shot review of the movie. I'm pretty sure everybody can already guess things how you can just go online and look up the plot, and I'm pretty sure anybody who's watching this review has already seen the movie. So let me just give off my pros, and then I'll give you my cons, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the post-credit scenes. And of course, if you have not seen the movie and you're watching this review, then of course it's going to have spoilers. So, yeah. But let's get right into it. Essentially, the big word in this movie has to be trust. Lots of characters in this movie don't have any trust for each other, which is kind of strange seeing so post Avengers, you kind of get the feeling like, can we trust each other? I mean, like, there's a dude who can turn into a green monster, and then there's a fucking billionaire out there who can create suits that practically do anything, and then there's a god from another dimension. I think we can, like, trust each other with stuff, but apparently not. Essentially, in this movie, no one trusts each other. There's tons and tons of information that no one understands. And being a comic book fan, I had a hard time following, seeing as how most of it was S.H.I.E.L.D. related information. And if you know anything about S.H.I.E.L.D., then you know that you practically don't know shit. Essentially, Nick Fury has Captain America and Natasha working together. They're doing like special missions, Black Ops type shit, like all over the world. They go to save people from, I don't know, Russian spies or whatever the fuck. I don't really know. Um, but essentially, once they get back from their missions, all hell breaks loose. Apparently, S.H.I.E.L.D. is being overrun by Hydra, which was the Nazi organized group led by Red Skull from the first movie. And we're led to believe that Hydra was kind of like done after First Avenger, but apparently throughout the years in the gap between First Avenger and Winter Soldier, apparently Hydra was a part of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they've been working through S.H.I.E.L.D., doing a lot of really sketchy, crazy-ass, psychotic shit under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s name. So, and mostly every operative under S.H.I.E.L.D. is pretty much working for Hydra. So, Captain America, Natasha, and Falcon joining them with Nick Fury, who apparently dies and comes back to life. I don't know what the fuck. But essentially, they just try to stop Hydra once again from practically destroying the world. Now, let me give you my pros. First off, I love Bucky as the Winter Soldier. I was really with odds with Bucky as the Winter Soldier because there obviously is a long history of Bucky Barnes, and there's obviously a huge history of the Winter Soldier character. But I was really at odds, like, is he going to be cool? Is he going to be badass? What's with the metal arm? But overall, from the time we seen Winter Soldier to the last scene of Winter Soldier, he is just a badass. Like, if you're coming in this movie with doubts like I did, you're going to lose him immediately. My only fault with Bucky as the Winter Soldier is that he didn't have enough screen time. Like, every scene that he's in is just badass. And you can see that he can pretty much go toe-to-toe with the super soldier known as Steve Rogers. He could pretty go toe-to-toe with him. So he's a pretty badass guy. Another real big pro has to be the effects. The effects were just amazing. I loved every minute of the effects. There was a tagline on this movie saying that it was bigger and better than the Avengers. I don't know if I would go that far, but it definitely goes toe to toe with the Avengers on the effects side. It was just amazing. Another pro has to go to the Falcon. And also, there's a big doubt that I have with the Falcon. Obviously, based off everything you know about the Winter Soldier and the character of Falcon that's featured, then you know that they took away his real wings and made tech wings. That was one of the things that I kind of liked visually, but overall, as a comic book fan, I was like, couldn't he just have his real wings? Really? I don't know. It would have just been cool to see it that way. I know, like, the Avengers side of Marvel is really tech savvy with everything, but it just would have been cooler. But overall, this movie did a great job. I really loved every action scene. There's a lot of action in this movie. There's a lot of crazy action scenes where you have scenes where you think that Captain America could die, essentially. So this movie doesn't hold back by any means. Now let me give you my cons. There's really little cons. Obviously, there's not really anything anyone could say to put down this movie. This movie does a great job at like keeping on the continuity of the Avengers, but also like staying as its own movie. Because obviously, in these movies, there's lots of worldwide like chaos, and so you would think that, well, if we're living in the Avengers world, why can't we just be an Avengers movie every year? But of course, they do a good job of like saving the world, except being, just one person, not a team. But my major cons has to be the technology in this movie. The technology didn't make fucking sense. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if Steve Jobs like came back to life and was like, "Oh yeah, that's plausible, possible." It it just didn't. There was a lot of technology in this movie that did not make fucking sense to me. It was just really ridiculous and over exaggerated. Like there's a piece of technology where Nick Fury uses to escape from Winter Soldier when he's attacking him, where there's a scene where he basically, it's a stick with a laser attached to it, and apparently he can cut through concrete and go underground. That didn't make any sense. It was just stupid. There's another piece of technology where Natasha where she has a sleeve over her body that makes her look like anybody. I know we're living in the superhero world, but technology like that is just stupid. It's over exaggerated, and what the fuck? It's a cool scene. It looks cool. It's just like, I just doesn't. I don't know. It's just weird. But overall, that's like the main thing I did. I also didn't like no references to Red Skull. I know there's some, but I know he died, but I was kind of hoping like, God, I want him to make an appearance somewhere in this movie, but he doesn't. There's references to Red Skull, if you were wondering, but he doesn't make a presentation in this movie. But overall, those are my pros and cons. I'm not going to give you the overall plot. I don't want to go for shot like scene with you guys because I do have a time limit. But overall, this movie was really badass. Every scene with the Winter Soldier was cool. I did have doubts with this movie because based off the trailers, I thought they were going to go all Iron Man 2 with this movie, where they're going to have S.H.I.E.L.D. be up the ass in this movie. But it was kind of better than Iron Man 2 in a sense, because in Iron Man 2, S.H.I.E.L.D. played a role where they kind of felt enforcing the Iron Man sequels. But in Winter Soldier, it kind of feels like they were more a part of the plot. They were pretty much the entire plot. It's less of a Cap story and more of a S.H.I.E.L.D. story overall, except it has Captain America in it, realistically. Because that's overall the plot. I mean, like, it's S.H.I.E.L.D. being taken over by Hydra, trying to take over the world once again. Simultaneously, the subplot is Captain America versus Bucky, the Winter Soldier. So that's the overall thing. And I think it did a way better job than how S.H.I.E.L.D. been presented in the sequels. With the exception, of course, Avengers. But overall, this movie was pretty badass, but let's get right into the post-credits scene. Right before I give them out and just pronounce them to you guys, I do want to say once again that this is spoiling. So if you've not seen the movie, and you've not seen the post-credits scenes, then don't fucking listen. But overall, there's two post-credit scenes. The first one comes right after the closing credits, where they, obviously give out all the casting names and, Marvel, Captain America, whatnot. There's a scene where Hydra apparently is still growing strong. They have like this complete underground base where Hydra's like developing weapons and ships and a whole ton of shit. And I don't know who the actor specifically was. I don't know. I was like in a daze at this point. But apparently Hydra is harvesting Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Yes, we get our first glimpse as to who they are, how they look, and how they use their powers. And I have to say, looked pretty fucking badass. I've had pretty much a lot of odds with Marvel nowadays, and with comic book movies in general. But the way they, and as we know, we are going to be seeing two Quicksilvers, one in Avengers 2 and in X-Men Days of Future Past. But Quicksilver looks badass. Aaron looks like a total badass as Quicksilver. How he uses his powers is really cool too. Like, just the effects was just amazing. And Scarlet Witch, the way she's doing her shit is crazy as fuck. It's just amazing. Really badass. It was just a really good introduction. The only problem I have with it is that I have zero idea why the fuck Hydra is harvesting them. What are they going to use them for? And also they have the Terrasect thing. How did they get Terrasect with the thing? What? How did they get that shit? What were they doing? What are they going to use it for? I'm pretty sure it's going to be some kind of Age of Ultron type shit, but to me, it just was like, I have to really do a lot of research on this shit. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people are going to do as well. But overall, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch look badass the way they did. Now, the second post-credit scene. Right before I give that, I'd like to give the ending. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but the ending is essentially every character goes on their separate ways. Natasha gives Cap some information on Bucky. She leaves. Nick Fury goes to Europe. Why? I don't know. He definitely just goes rogue and just leaves. That's all it is. And then Captain America, joined by Falcon, which is like his new sidekick apparently, go on the search for Bucky. Captain America is apparently dedicating majority of his time to find Bucky and try and bring him back to the person he was before. Now, the post-credit scene is this. We're back in the museum, into the Hall of Captain America, where it's dedicated to all his actions in the war and in the first Avenger. And there's a scene where you get to see Bucky and his little line is like of information and story. And we get to the panning and see that the person who is reading his story is Bucky himself. So he's trying to research himself. So he definitely is the Winter Soldier, but he definitely has like a little bit of himself still in there. He's not completely brainwashed, as we've seen in the movie, that he definitely is still Bucky, but it's really like lost in his mind. He definitely needs Rogers to really bring him back. So I definitely can't wait. I'm pretty sure that's going to be referenced like in Cap 3, or because they are making a Captain America 3, or maybe Avengers, I don't know. But overall, this movie was really fucking badass. Winter Soldier did an A+ for me. It's definitely a 10 rating, 9.5, 10, whichever. It was just a badass fucking movie. It was almost as better, or as good or better than First Avenger, which is really surprising. And I love the new suit. I like them introducing the old suit. Everything about this movie was just badass. It was sexy and badass, like a Captain America movie should fucking be. And I love the effects. I love Bucky the Winter Soldier. I love the introduction of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And I can't wait for Age of Ultron. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. But what did you guys think about this movie? Do you think it was better than First Avenger? Did you like all the new references and introductions in this movie? And what are your personal thoughts on the connections and possibilities for Captain America 3 and Age of Ultron and whatnot? But that's been my review. I definitely give it a good rating, and I definitely enjoyed it. But what are your thoughts? And I hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely go check out Captain America the Winter Soldier. Thanks for watching.